Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Matthew Shiner podcast, to this audio exclusive episode. I apologize. I have had several other things going on today, and because of that, I just haven't been able to record this episode in the studio and do the full video. So, this is an audio only version of this episode, and this one I said was going to be looking at Thanksgiving. And so I also apologize that there's not like fun video clips and photographs on top of this. Like I could have a nice Thanksgiving photo or something like that, but instead I just put a clip of myself in the studio, and hopefully it's a flattering clip and not just one where my eyes are closed and I'm just saying something, because I have a feeling that's the kind of clip I'm going to put on there. I could have put a Thanksgiving clip and that'll probably be the thumbnail, but regardless, pardon me, I do apologize. That this video is audio only, whether you are watching this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify. So I do apologize, but this video I wanted to make, and it comes out on Thursday, and Thursday is always Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving is always Thursday. But there's this song by Bing Crosby. I believe it's in Holiday Inn or White Christmas, one of those two musicals. And he talks about how when he can't sleep, he counts his blessings. And so I think when we talk of this idea of blessings, of counting what we are thankful for, these we can kind of use these two interchangeably. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I think when we talk about thankfulness, I feel like Thanksgiving kind of is just this thing we kind of just do. Every year November comes around, and Thanksgiving still simply just gets passed over because we go straight from Halloween right into the Christmas season, and we almost just forget about Thanksgiving. And so that is something truly, because Thanksgiving is so important, even if it's not a holiday, just to be thankful, to be grateful. And so we simply just pass over Thanksgiving and allow it to be almost forgotten, just in the mixture of we go right from Halloween, fourth horror, and all this stuff. We skip right past Thanksgiving and go straight into Christmas with all the holiday and everything, with all the busyness, all the craziness that comes with Christmas, and we just forget Thanksgiving. And that's unfortunate. But I also want to talk about one important aspect of Thanksgiving, and that is where we get some words within the church. Namely, the one very important word, the E word, if you will, Eucharist. And Eucharist comes from the Greek meaning Thanksgiving, and you can do a whole lot of etymological work upon Thanksgiving and all this stuff, and Eucharist and all that. But also, this kind of central part of the Eucharist are these gifts of Thanksgiving, these Eucharistized gifts. I can't remember where exactly. I believe that word, that kind of language of Eucharized gifts, was used by Joe Heschmeyer in his book, The Early Church Was Catholic. And he looks at this Eucharistized gifts, these gifts, almost of thanksgiving to God. And so we can be thankful and grateful to God for these gifts that we offer. And so they're kind of an offering of thanksgiving to God, the Eucharist. And thanksgiving is a part of the Eucharistic prayer of offering thanks to God. And so, above all, we are thankful to God for the blessing of Christ. And that's something we most especially understand within the Eucharist. But also, we have to understand that thanksgiving, that this thankfulness, is of all the blessings that God has given us. And so many of us, I think we've just kind of lost a sense of gratefulness and thankfulness within our societies as a whole. We've lost kind of a sanctity and a religiosity within our societies. We almost just throw out God, and when we throw out God, or even when we throw out the insignificant or the seemingly insignificant, especially of Thanksgiving, we lose sight of what matters, of what is holy, and of what is good. Look at our societal view of marriage, where marriage is just a simple contract, just a simple, almost handshake. And this idea of even the marital act just simply being a handshake that is just done between two people almost mutually, and marriage just simply being almost this contract that can as easily be signed as it can be broken. This almost loss of what I'm going to call sacredness, of losing sight of what is truly holy, sacred, to be loved, to be respected, to be cared for, to be just given the utmost of our devotion. We lose sight of this, and we lose sight of godliness and of God, and we lose sight of sanctity and holiness. And this is something we see in our society, and we see the decline that it has. And one of the things that comes with this is the loss of thankfulness, is the loss of a true desire to give thanks, to be grateful. And being grateful, in part, yes, it is being grateful to the people who do so much for us. There are so many people who we rely on, whether we realize it or not. And so often we just disregard it and we forget to be thankful. We forget to say thank you. We had a priest who recently was talking about three phrases that are just so profound, so beautiful when they're actually said with meaning. And one of them was I love you. The other one I can't remember, and the last one was thank you. Or I'm sorry, not I'm sorry, but it was I love you, I'm sorry, and thank you. And these three profound phrases are just so important. They're so meaningful. They matter so much. And whether we say them or we hear them because they're said to us, they're just so important, so profound, so meaningful that it's just important that not only do people hear them, but we say them. And not just we say them, but we mean them. We mean to be thankful for the good things that have been given to us, from the simplest of blessings to the biggest of gifts. Above all, on this Thanksgiving, I remind you to be thankful to God for all the blessings that He has given to you, but also to be thankful for all the people. I believe that also the people in our lives, we have to be grateful to God for, because God placed them within our lives and within. I know I talked about this with Christ, the Lord of time. Christ gives us time. Christ knows our beginning, our end. He gives us all this time, but also people, how important people are. And Christ gives us the right people at the right time, who will do things in our lives that we just need to be grateful for. Whether we realize it or not, be grateful for the people that God has put into your lives. Um, I can put this in a way. I have met great people, and they have had an impact upon me. And every person matters. If you are a married person, your spouse is obviously a very important person in your life. But even for the seemingly insignificant things like friends, like they seem so insignificant, but even the scriptures speak of what having a true friend, how the importance of having a true friend is. And so God has put into your life certain people, and don't be afraid to go out and help and meet and greet people and make friends and do things, especially friends of the godly and Christian people. Don't be afraid to make friends with them. And so that kind of brings me to the last part of people who matter, of family, and how important family is, especially around this time, around Thanksgiving, and also how loss of family can be just almost magnified at this time, because that one person who was either this rock or just a significant part of the family is now gone. I've experienced this, you know, I can say deeply, many, not many, but years ago when my grandmother passed away, how the holidays, simply, she loved Christmas, she loved the holidays, and she was there with the family for every holiday. And so this loss was sad, it was terrible. And so, but also we must be grateful for the people we have when we have them, while we can, because eventually you and I will be gone. And so Thanksgiving can remind us of legacy, of leaving behind something, of leaving behind what do you how do you want people to remember you? Whether they forget you, but you hope to be remembered fondly. And I hope that each of you would desire to be remembered for some good quality rather than for some bad quality. Um, and one of the things I can say is I want to be remembered, not just, for whatever I do, not just if I'm married, to be remembered as a husband, to be remembered as a father, or if I'm a priest, to be remembered for being a priest, or if I'm a deacon, for being remembered for being for being a deacon. I want to be remembered for having a devotion not just to my vocation and living it out to the fullest. I certainly want that, but I want to be one who's remembered for bringing people closer and into the faith. I want to be remembered for that, and I want to be remembered for my faith being so important to me. I made it the center of my life. I made Christ the center of my life, and it doesn't matter where God calls me, as I am in that process of discerning. As I've mentioned before, as this channel was kind of founded to be almost about that, but certainly I was so close to just diving right in headfirst into faith, into the priesthood, that I just neglected everything else. I just pushed into that. I'm like, this is I think this, but I understand. I jumped in the deep end, and um I realized I was too quick to run in, and I'll leave it there. I don't want to get too in depth to that into the video, but my point being, wherever God is calling you to, as you are watching this, whether you are a priest, whether you are a bishop, whether you are a deacon, whether you are a layman, whether you are married, whether you are not, whatever, wherever you may be, I want to be very clear about legacy, about being remembered for something great, being remembered for something profound. And I want all of you to be remembered for having that deep faith and for inspiring that great faith into so many. If you are a priest, for inspiring faith into your flock. If you are a priest, if you are a bishop, if you are a mother or a father, I want you to be remembered by your children, by your grandchildren, by even your great grandchildren, and so on and so forth down the generations, for such a devout faith, for inspiring a devout faith into your children. That when your children go to Mass with their children, they think, I mean, I'm thinking this off the top of my head, but they think, wow, Mom and Dad really inspired me to have a true great faith, and that faith will live on and certainly not die as they go off into this world, as they go off into trades or schools or wherever they may be, that they live out and love that faith that I pray that their parents inspired into them. And I certainly know a great number of parents who just try and inspire great faith into their children to the best of their ability. They inspire because they love their faith too, and they want their children to love their faith just as much as they do. And I wish that for every parent, that they just love their faith so much that this is the thing that they want their children to inherit. Not some monetary possession, not some big whatever. The traditions and the faith are the thing that they are remembered and that they hand on to their children. And I think that's most important. And I think Thanksgiving ultimately reminds us of that, of what is important. Because it's easy to look at Christmas with presents and Halloween with its candy, but our society forgets Thanksgiving because it doesn't offer us money, it doesn't offer us candy, it doesn't offer us gifts. What does it offer us? It offers us family, and it offers us ourselves. It offers us a time to just sit down and think and reflect. And some people like that, mostly religious people, just like sitting, thinking, and reflecting. But most people in our society don't. They could care less about this. But that's what we have as a church. We love thinking and reflecting, and we love silence. I mean, silence is such an important part. But Thanksgiving offers us something. It offers us a meal. And, the Eucharist can be thought of as a meal and such as that. And here we offer a great feast. And what do we have besides this feast? We have ourselves. We have traditions. We have all this. And so let Thanksgiving, for those of you who, mostly if you're an American, Thanksgiving is a American holiday after all. But I want you on this Thanksgiving not just to be grateful, but understand why we are grateful for these great blessings, for these great things. Thanksgiving is a holiday that we associate mostly with our family. with our grandparents, for some of us with our great-grandparents, for some of us with our children, for so on and so forth. How we remember this holiday is family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, grandparents, great-grandparents, uncles, I said that, uncles and aunts. For many of us, children and grandchildren. That is how we remember this holiday, is family and traditions. Even the most smallest of traditions. And when these things are gone, that's when we think of them as just so insignificant, so unimportant. But then when they're gone, we miss them. So seize all those moments, remember all those things, even if they seem so small and insignificant. Love them, because when they're gone, and they will be, we will still be grateful for them, and we can still try and pass them on and keep them living for the future generations to come, to love them and to be grateful for them. And so I inspire this into you this Thanksgiving, not just to think of it as just this holiday in almost a vacuum of monotony in the holiday season, of going from one holiday to the next, or even just forgetting about it altogether. Loving Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is not just some secular holiday, but the church itself has taken this great aspect of a holiday of giving thanks, because ultimately we are to offer things to God, not just to one another, but to God. And so we are called to, as Catholics do call this holiday Thanksgiving, and we do celebrate Mass for it, and we do love and care deeply about this holiday, because we are all called to give thanks, not just in the Eucharist, the Thanksgiving at Mass, but every day. Not just on this holiday, but every day. There's so many songs at Christmas that just say, keep Christmas with you all through the year, or, Christmas can be every day of the year. That's not the holiday we need every day. Yes, we need the joy, we need the love, we need the faithfulness of Christmas, and Christmas is just so important of a holiday for so many of us, and it's a holiday that brings so much joy. But Thanksgiving is truly the holiday we need every day of our lives. So God bless you all on this most holy of days, certainly this most important of days. Give thanks today and all the days of our lives. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Doing so helps us to spread this Catholic and Christian message to all. Please also consider supporting this channel on Patreon.